So the Hero Arena has become one of the more important game modes that you have to do in order to increase the overall strength of your account, simply for the reason that in the Hero Arena game mode you can buy the LR tokens, and you can buy 100 of them every single season period. Now for this season period specifically, that is a total of like 6 weeks, so depending on like what difficulty you do, you will get about, well, it depends of course, anywhere from like 36 LR tokens all the way up to, well, of course 100 of them, and some change because you can save these for the next Hero Arena whenever it's released. Now in order to get the most points, you generally had to have like a 14, 15, 16 million box CC in order to be able to have like 340k CC without actually using any links on your units, and that you needed 3 teams of that. So not just one team but 3 teams. But now a couple of like teams that can beat it by actually going second have cropped up, and this is also being helped by teams that are centered around these seasonal units. So Freya, of course, the green one, as well as the Demon King. The Demon King himself is one of the better units to actually go for even outside of this, but if you do have Freya next week on global, this week on JP, you will be able to use her to get the boost as well, because you could do that last week but they removed that for some reason and they just reintroduced it again. So you'll have at least 2 teams that are going to help you with that task, but today I'm going to show you at least a couple of teams that can beat it, as well as like the tactics that you need to implement in order to actually beat it on, say, even the hardest difficulty. But if you cannot do it on the hardest difficulty, I do believe you need like 8 million box CC to even attempt it because of like the HP difference that your units will have. But if you can beat it on this difficulty or this difficulty, like you still get quite a lot of these coins that you otherwise might not have got. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you the gear you need to use, I'm going to show you the teams you need to use, as well as the tactics you need to implement for each of the different fights. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first team I'm going to show you is going to be the Archangel team, and you want to face off against the first opponent or the first tower, the one where you actually face off against the Estarossa demon team as like your first opponent, right? Basically how you want to gear these units is going to be like similar to like all the teams. You want the middle pieces to be some kind of variation of crit defense or crit resistance. For example, for Mile here, you want to have attack crit on him, so that means you want to have crit damage but with crit defense sub-roll, so you don't take too much damage every single turn, right? Now you want to have Tarmiel with crit defense gear and crit defense sub-roll. So you just want to make like these R pieces and just, you know, try to get them as highly as you possibly can. You just have to reroll it with gold. It doesn't have to be super good rolls either. As you can see, I like 25% rolls. That's totally fine. Sariel here as well, HP defense, or I say HP defense, HP crit defense with crit defense sub rolls, and Liz HP crit defense with crit defense sub rolls. That is what you want for the units. Just regular, you know, sub rolls on the top and bottom pieces. You want the HP, you want the attack percent. And again, like, it doesn't need to be the best rolls or anything. I have 11 million box CC, so I do get a little bit of HP from that. But if you do have like 10 million, 9 million, whatever, maybe try to get a little bit better rolls in order to like survive. Though I did find that the Archangel team doesn't have that difficult time of actually surviving. Now the artifact card set that you want for this team specifically is gonna be this team right here, which is gonna increase your basic stats by up to 9%, and that works like turn 1. And because you're going second, you will like get hit by the enemies instantly. Like, they will just start wrecking you, and if you do not have enough like basic stats, you will get wrecked because you do not have links as well. For Tarmiel specifically, also the gear on him, as you saw, it was defense, and that is basically what you want. You want defense, crit defense on Tarmiel. You don't want HP on him, because if you do have HP on him, whenever he heals, then another unit will get lower HP and that unit will get targeted. Tarmiel with his grace can heal himself, so you do want him to actually be hit by the enemies, and by not having an HP set on him, you will ensure that he has the lowest HP in your team. As you can see, 187k HP, so he will be targeted by like the single target attacks. So that is how you want to do that. Now against the demon team specifically, I will go over exactly what you need to do right now as well. Now the background footage might not actually fit in to exactly what I'm saying, but you will see an image of the team I'm actually talking about. So first of all, it is the demon team with Estarossa, Demon Cusack, Monspeed, as well as Traitor Meliodas. Now what you want to do turn 1 here is, after you tank the hits, you want to buff up with Tarmiel, you want to maybe do a Sariel AoE, and then you want to heal with Liz. Generally though, I found that if you heal with Liz first and then do the Sariel AoE, Liz will actually heal for more, because when Sariel does his AoE, of course that is going to increase Liz's attack, which is going to help her heal more. But because it's also going to increase her HP, she actually won't heal to full, at least on my Liz. So turn 1, do the Tarmiel buff first, then the Liz heal, then the Sariel AoE. And I found that if I don't do the Sariel AoE, say for example I do the Mile AoE, then Sariel won't have enough HP and he will be the one who's focused by the enemy's single target attacks. Then the next turn you just want to dump your Mile cards and try to kill Traitor Melee if at all possible. Some attempts I've been able to kill Melee and another unit if I get like 2 Mile single target cards, and if Mile actually crits. Other times you might actually have to kill them by the turn after that. It doesn't really matter, but you just want to kill Melee as soon as possible, because he's gonna start building up some stacks, he's gonna start hitting really hard with the single target card, and it's gonna like reduce the damage the enemies take takes as long as he's alive. Estarossa is also very annoying, but you can maybe try to attack seal him with Liz. Also try to get Liz's ult. If you can get her ult off, even if it's not turn 1, like she will put a rejuvenation thing on you that is basically gonna heal you to full every single turn. So just try to get her ult. Don't like save her ult and then use it at the end. You can do that of course also, but if you can get her ult early, then you won't really have a problem because you will be fully healed with your units every single time. Now Estarossa can of course like super easily one-shot your Tarmiel. Like if Tarmiel has or darkness stacks and the encroachment debuff and Estarossa does like a silver spin, he's just gonna wreck Tarmiel. At least my Tarmiel with like double defense and crit defense gear. He gets wrecked. So take that how you will, but that is sort of how you beat that. But then you just focus down the other 2 units and then kill Estarossa last, because Estarossa actually does have a red Tarmiel link on him. Now on the second team, this is against the Ragnarok team. Now these units hit super hard. So turn 1 you just want to buff with Tarmiel, then you want to heal with Liz and then do a mile AoE. And then turn 2 you just want to kill Freya. Freya is gonna be like the hardest hitting unit because she has a really strong single target card, she has a really strong AoE card. Brunhild is only annoying with her AoE card, the single target card is nothing, Diane is also nothing, and Sigurd, yeah, he's not gonna do anything either. So just focus down Freya, then focus down Brunhild, and then the other 2. And always ensure as you're transitioning into the next fight that you have full HP. Now the third team is gonna be the now for me the one ultimate Rimuru and Ludociel team. Now what you need to do turn 1 depends on sort of what the enemy does. Like if the enemy attacks with Escanor twice, then of course just focus down Escanor, try to kill him. He's most likely not gonna have any more cards with that Escanor. And how you want to kill him in that case is just to use Mile AoE, do the Mile single target, and then do a Zariel AoE. Because Mile AoE and single target will kill Escanor, and then the Zariel AoE will of course hit everyone. It will also increase your basic stats a little bit because he is gonna crit, and it will also remove one of Escanor's final flames. If you do happen to get 2 AoE cards the following turn, then of course just use those 2 cards. Otherwise, Naofumi will taunt up that turn. But if Naofumi taunts up the first turn, then just buff up with Tarmiel, then do the 2 AoE cards, just to sort of start chipping the enemies down a little bit. And then the following turn, if Naofumi doesn't taunt up again, then you can kill Escanor. Otherwise, try to kill Naofumi just to pop his revive. Rimuru probably will not apply infect to you any more than like the first turn, but on the second turn, of course, always heal as well. But you cannot heal yourself the first turn because, of course, of the infect. Now, this team, for this team specifically, is the most annoying one, of course, but it can be easy. Like, it can be easy or it can be like super annoying, depending on, of course, what the enemies do. I've had runs where Escanor just keeps getting cards and just completely wrecks my Tarmiel because, of course, turn 1, like, Tarmiel cannot heal because he's going to be infected. Then if the next turn Escanor gets like a silver AoE card and like a silver poke, then Tarmiel is most likely going to die from that. So do keep that in mind as well. Now against the fourth team, it is going to be against the Archangel team with Light Liz and Blue Tarmiel there. I would say it also sort of depends on what the enemy's first turn move is going to be. So if, for example, if Tarmiel does put up a stance, then you don't really want to deal too much damage. You maybe just want to waste a couple of cards. Of course, heal up every single turn that you can heal up, and then do a little AoE chip damage. But I would say like focus down the Tarmiel. He is the most annoying one. He's going to prevent you from like using your ultimates because you do not have a taunt up. Otherwise, like focusing down the Luda Margaret could also be a very good option as like your first unit that you'd actually do focus down. Then beyond that, like if you can just stack up your passives with like Zariel AoEs and stuff like that, so that your passive basic stats are like super high, you will be able to survive a Mal ultimate as well as a Liz ultimate on the same turn. I've done that, but you just want to focus down Tarmiel and Luda Margaret first anyway. Those are the most annoying ones. If you can get like your Mal ult off, even at 1/6, which mine is, like you will be able to almost kill them or like at least kill one of them, meaning Liz or Mal, and then like you can focus down the other one with like single target attacks or whatever. And then once you have like one of them alive, I would honestly suggest like leaving Liz alive. Then just try to fully heal, maybe like get your Liz ult off to like fully heal, and then you kill the last enemy, and then just move on to the final fight. Now the final fight is gonna be against the OC team. So the turn 1, what you want to do is you just want to heal with Liz, and then you want to AoE with Mal, and then single target focus down Roxy with Mal, because you just want to kill her first. Then the second turn, it sort of depends on what you want to do, because Eastin can be quite annoying if she gets like a silver AoE card, because she will remove your ults. Same with Lilia, if she's using her AoE card, she will of course remove your ults. And that means like you can't get your Liz ult off. That might not be an issue. If you get like really lucky with Mal cards, you can just continually like kill one of their units. But if you get super unlucky, like I've been a couple of times, you're just gonna get like Zariel and Tarmiel cards, and it's gonna be super annoying to actually try to kill any one of them. But who you actually kill next, like it depends on what you want to do. If you want to kill the Eastin, like that's totally fine. If you want to kill the Mono, that's also fine. But just know that if you actually debuff the Mono with the AoE card, Mono will use use her cleanse card. So that is one way like you can prevent them from actually dealing damage to you and like focusing on cleansing themselves first before they actually attack you, because that's sort of what the NPCs do. Same with like Luda Margot. If you actually debuff the enemies, Luda Margot in the previous fight will cleanse first and then they will do the attacks. So you can keep her alive and just debuff her, just to sort of prevent them from attacking once. And even if you do happen to eat an ult or two, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, though I did find that Mono's ult, especially if she's the last one and she has like a couple of cards left, that is a secret technique ultimate and it will hit super hard, so do keep that in mind as well. But yeah, that is the Archangel team, a really good team, a really solid team, and it works very well against the first opponent there, or first tower. Next up is gonna be the Sins team, and for this team specifically, the card set you want to run is the starting grade R card set, because you do want Twigod to get as much basic stats as possible. His passive is of course also gonna help us because it's gonna increase strength attribute allies HP by 30%, so unfortunately Ban is gonna be the only one who's not gonna benefit from that, though Ban is gonna boost Twigod's own like HP related stats by at least a couple of percent, so that Twigod will be able to survive. He is gonna tank the first hits of course with this team. Now this team can either go up against the second or the third tower, though I suggest you use it on the second tower if you do have the Demon King, so that you can use the Demon team on the third tower. I'm gonna go over that in a bit. But the gear I have on them, and this is very important here, melee wants to have attack crit damage, and with the crit damage gear you do want to have crit defense subrolls, you do not want to have crit resistance subrolls. Now whether or not you go crit defense or crit resistance on most units, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going crit defense because that's the gear I crafted. I have some gear pieces that like I'm running crit resistance that could also work of course if a unit has a lot of like innate crit resistance and you just increase it more, that unit won't get crit, so actually crit resistance could potentially be better there. But Diane, HP crit defense with crit defense subrolls, Ban, HP crit defense with crit defense subrolls. Ban is not gonna deal a lot of damage. Like you can use Ban for his debuff so that the enemy doesn't crit you of course, and of course do a little bit of damage, but you're mainly using him for his passive. And Twigod, you want HP crit defense with crit defense subrolls as well. Of course on Lost Twin Meliodas you do not want crit resistance, because you do want Meliodas to be crit, but you want crit defense so that he doesn't take too much damage when he is crit. Now the tactic that you want to use against the first opponent on the second tower here, which is gonna be against the Rimuru, King, Merlin as well as Lilia, is that of course like you cannot heal the first turn or heal back actually, but what you want to do is you just want to taunt up with Diane, and then you want to like AoE with melee and then single target the Merlin with melee. If you cannot kill her, of course kill Rimuru, but she can be very annoying with like the debuffs, depending on the debuffs that you do get. If you get stunned or if you get the flame debuffs that's gonna take like half your HP, those are super annoying, so you want to like ensure that she at least dies, and then you want to kill Rimuru as well. After that Lilia could be annoying with her like ult gauge remover, and you do want to ult with Diane every single turn here so that Twigod actually survives. Now what you can do is you can maybe perhaps even bait out some of her attacks, maybe save like Rimuru, because Rimuru probably won't use his infect card again. Sometimes he does it, and like if he gets a silver merger or whatever, he might actually do it, otherwise he probably won't. So you can like try to keep him alive, maybe kill King and then keep Lilia and Rimuru alive, or kill Lilia and then kill King and Rimuru with like a Diane ult, as well as like then followed by Melee's ult of course. But yeah, you want to have at least a taunt up with Diane when you do ult, and if you ult 2 units then Twigod will have full HP going into the next round. And this you actually want to do for every single enemy team that you're facing as you're moving into the next round and next round, right? Other than that, there's not much to it. Like you just try to focus them down one by one with whatever cards you have. Try to get some Diane cards, like you move and merge them, and then go on to the next one. So the next team is gonna be the Archangel team, but it is gonna be an Archangel team with the green lives there, so it's a little bit easier. So here I would suggest you actually kill the Tarmiel first, because Tarmiel is super annoying. Like you do want to get Diane's ult off, and if you can't get Diane's ult off, like you won't have enough HP for the next fight. Actually you might, because the next fight is a little bit easier, but it's still gonna be super annoying. So basically what you want to do turn one is just try to chip down Tarmiel as much as possible. If he taunts up the first turn there, don't waste like your big attacks on him, just do that on the second turn, because he's not gonna take too much damage anyway. Like you can use the infect and perhaps even try to chip him down, and then the following turn you can just try to kill him, because he's not basically gonna heal back, but they will like cleanse the infect of course that following turn, because of, you know, Luda Margot. That's what the NPCs do. If they are debuffed with specific debuffs, they will cleanse, and infect being one of those debuffs. And then after that, like you can try to keep the Liz alive, you can try to keep like Luda Margot alive, and of course kill Tarmiel. And if the enemies do get their ultimates, of course just remove them with the single target card with 4 or 5 orbs, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The next team is gonna be the Demon team with AM Melee, Zeldris, Green Melascula, as well as Demon Chandler. Now this team, because you do want to get your ult off, I would suggest that you basically just save Melee and Chandler for the end. Of course Melee is gonna hit for super hard, but you will have enough like like defense, HP and all that stuff with Diane, that it shouldn't be an issue. The issue here is of course Melascula with her shield as well as her ult gauge remover on her single target card, and Zeldaris with his ult gauge remover on a single target card. Because Diane is the one who's taunting and she's also the one who's healing, you do want to kill those two units first, and then you can sort of focus down melee and Chandler with like the Diane ult and then the Lost Vein melee ult or something. Next up is the Ragnarok team, and for this team specifically, it's gonna be basically the same as your previous team there. You just want to kill the Freya first, and what's neat here is you can actually ult here with melee. Just try to chip down the Freya. If you cannot kill her, just kill her the following turn with the ult or whatever, but basically do a Diane taunt, melee AoE, and then melee single target, and just try to kill the Freya, of course. And you can quite easily just ult with melee, and then just try to save whatever units survive. If there's like 1 or 2 or 3 units that survive, just ult with Diane afterwards, after you perhaps kill the enemy Diane, because the enemy Diane is going to prevent you from dealing more than 50% of the enemy's HP with one hit. So you might want to kill Diane first and then ult with your Diane or something like that, but it is all up to you exactly how you do it. It's not really that much of an issue. This fight is quite easy. I've had like runs where Twigod actually died on this fight, and then on the following fight I guess I was still able to beat it, so it's not super complicated. And then the final fight is against Roxy, Echidna, Nanashi as well as Philo. So turn 1 you will be infected, so just like do an AoE with melee or whatever. Try to chip Echidna down if you can, or try to chip Nanashi down if you can. One of those two is the one I would focus down first. After that, just try to get as many like melee cards as possible. Just do as much damage as you possibly can. Maybe even get an ult, which is really annoying if they still have a Nanashi alive. That's why I would suggest like go for Nanashi and then you can just ult with melee. And like every single turn, try to break their shields, because otherwise they're gonna get like the 20% attack related stats boost. And then you can just kill them. But if you sort of fail with this team, you can still complete it with one additional team, of course. And then you just pick whatever like units you have and just kill the rest of the enemies that are alive, right? So this fight isn't really that difficult either. Alright, so next up is gonna be the demon team with Melascula and Matrona. Now this combination in particular is very good because you want Matrona to die and have Melascula revive her, and then every single turn you will almost heal to full with all your units because of Matrona's passive. That like the lower HP she has, the more she's gonna heal your team for. Very nice there, and in order for the enemies to actually attack her, as you can see she has really low HP, but that's because of the gear I gave her. So I gave her basically defense, whatever this is gear. It doesn't really matter, like I could honestly just remove these and it would work just as well. She doesn't need an extra defense. I just put these on just for the extra attack, of course, and then you just want a little bit of crit defense. She's still gonna die super fast anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now for Melascula you want HP crit defense. Now fortunately for me, I had already made a full set of crit defense gear for her on all pieces here, so all I had to do was just replace these top and bottom pieces with like regular pieces, and yeah, just have this be Melascula's gear. So you do want her to survive, so you want her to have HP crit defense. Meliodas also HP crit defense. Once he gets his true magic buff, he's gonna hit for super hard anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He doesn't need the attack, you just want him to survive, so you want the HP. As well as Demon King, like you want him to survive as well. After like turn 2 he's gonna start hitting super hard anyway, like he can basically one-shot units with his silver or gold AoE cards. It's super crazy, so yeah, the same there. But here I actually opted for going for crit damage so that he just deals a little bit of extra damage like turn 1 and turn 2. Melee, of course, like you can use melee with his true magic buff to deal as much damage as possible, but I just found it to be very nice for the Demon King to also be able to deal just a little bit more damage. So instead of like crit defense with crit defense subrolls, I just went with crit damage pieces with crit defense subrolls. So yeah, that's the gear, and you actually want to use this team against the final opponent or the final tower. Now this is a little bit more of a difficult tower. It isn't like completely impossible to beat this with any other team. I've beaten this with the Sins team, which I think is like the worst team. A better team, of course, once we can actually use that, is gonna be the Ragnarok team with the green Freya. Unfortunately for now, that team isn't optimal, and I did find that the Sins team was a little bit better. But for this team specifically, like first of all, you're up against the Ragnarok team, and here you just want to kill Diane first, because what Diane does is she can actually remove your buffs, and she will basically attack Matrona and remove Matrona's invulnerability buff that Melascula is going to give her turn 1. So basically you want to kill Diane turn 1 by perhaps doing some AoE cards with, by doing an AoE card with the Demon King so that you do apply infect, and you want to do the melee single target and the Demon King single target, and she should die because those two attacks will deal more than enough damage. Turn 1 you just want to kill Diane, then turn 2 of course just focus down Freya and then the other two, and just try to get as much HP as you possibly can. Like I said, every single turn, and this is for 3 turns, Matrona will heal you to full, almost. And if she doesn't, like of course you can just use Melascula's debuff card to actually heal her to full. Melee, of course, if he just attacks once, he's gonna heal to full, as same as with the Demon King. They deal so much damage anyway that it's not really an issue to get those 2 units to full. Now the second team that you're gonna go up against is gonna be the Archangel team. Now this is gonna be the same team as like the first tower, so basically the tactic from now on is try to kill at least one one of their units, like it doesn't really matter. And then just ult with the unit that you have the highest ult level with. For me, that is melee. My Demon King is only 2-6, but even Demon King is able to like one-shot the Archangel team quite easily. And the way you do that is you just taunt up with Matrona, and then you get your ult with any one of those two units. Like your turn 1 move could be just to like move 2 cards and then taunt up, because the taunt from Matrona is gonna last for 3 turns. And then the next turn you just get your ult, and then the following turn you just ult, and you just wipe them. That's gonna be your tactic from now on. And it's quite easy. So that is against the Archangel team. They have not, like nothing they can do to like remove your ults. Unless of course they get super lucky. And I've had this happen before where Mile gets super lucky. He gets his ult turn 2. Like or he can ult turn 3 before you can actually get your ult off. And then it's just GG, you just restart at that point. Honestly, I haven't really found that this team to be too much of an issue, that tactic specifically. Just rush your ult and also have a Matrona taunt up. It can't do anything to you. They can just do some AoE attacks. The AoE attacks won't kill you unless it's like 3 like silver or gold AoE attacks in a row, which they usually don't get, so there's that. So the next team you're gonna face off against is gonna be the OC human team. And here you just wanna kill Eastin, because Eastin is gonna be the only one who can remove your ults. Of course, Lilia does have a ult depletion card, but because Perg Melee, like just go for his ult, he will always cleanse, and you will still get your ult, because he's gonna cleanse the Pumpkin Bomb debuff that Lilia's AoE card has. And you don't have to worry about Roxy's single target card. Maybe you just wanna like taunt up with Matrona so that no other unit gets like single target focused, and then after that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how much damage she does, she cannot kill Matrona. None of them can kill Matrona with their single target attacks. AoE attacks are still a little bit annoying, they can still hurt, but like again, like you're gonna heal so much every single turn, it doesn't really matter. Just get your melee ult them, and it's a GG at that point. So the next team is gonna be against Rimuru, King, Merlin, and Lilia. So this is the team that is gonna be a little bit annoying. You don't want them to even accidentally, because this is the second to last team, you don't want them to even accidentally be able to infect you like twice in a row. That can happen, unfortunately, that can happen. So you just want to kill the Rimuru first, don't worry about the Merlin debuffs, and even if you do get stunned, like melee of course will cleanse, so melee will not be affected by that. Just taunt up with Matrona, that should be fine. Also Rimuru, you do have to kill him here, because he's gonna steal your buffs every single turn, and because the Melascula revive thing is a buff, you do want to kill him. But even if you do get stunned, even if you are prevented from like using crits, the second person I would go for is the Lilia, and then you can just ult with melee. Like that's how I would do it. As I'm like talking right now, I'm not sure exactly how I did it in the recording as you're watching in the background. I'm pretty sure the place I'm actually talking about this might not actually show that fight in particular, but you know, it is what it is. The team isn't super difficult anyway. Now the final team is the only one that I've had actually a little bit of struggles with. Sometimes I've had like my Matrona die on say the previous fight, and I do believe in the recording itself I've had that happen, so it's still not super difficult. Like melee can heal back so much. The Demon King, you can just use the Demon King's AoE card first to prevent the Nanashi buff from like removing Meliodas' ult gauge orbs whenever he does his AoE attack. Just try to break the shields, just you know, try to infect them as much as you can, get one of their ults and ult and win, and that's about it. Like there's nothing to say here. Just kill either Echidna or Nanashi first, or perhaps even Roxy. Like if you want to ult, Roxy has an annoying like ult gauge depletion card, so does Nanashi of course, but if your Matrona is still alive, of course you can just taunt up and it shouldn't really be an issue. At that point just move melee cards and you should be fine. But yeah, those are the 3 teams that can quite easily beat the Hero Arena by going second. So I've shown you a little bit of the tactics, a little bit of the gear, and the team composition as well. But if you do have any questions, do feel free to ask me down below and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. But with that, I think that's gonna be it for me. Hope you liked the video, hope you found it helpful or useful. Thanks for watching, hope you have a most wonderful rest of your day, and I guess I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.